Hey, welcome to the Do Nothing Project. I'm Jeff. This is my friend Jude, who's joining us tonight, live human being. As always, let me know if you're hearing the sound. This time, I'm going to make sure to unplug this lapel mic when we all talk, when both Jude and I chat. You guys all hear me? Guys, gals, humans. So I'm going to assume yes, loud and clear. Cool. Welcome to the Do Nothing Project. Thanks, Andrew, for moderating in the blue font. I see Ben, Michael, Christina, Audrey, F. Good to see you, F. Fred, Chris, Gabrielle, Siobhan, Rena, Rick. Hey, Rick. Susan. Hey, Susan. So, can't hear Jeff. Well, I think that's your thing, because I think this thing's working. So if you've never been to the Do Nothing Project before, this is it. You just went on to YouTube. Hey, Lily. And this video appeared, and we are going to do a very basic, simple meditation. Welcome to the first timers. This is our kind of basically our our weekly project in doing nothing whatsoever, having friends from all around get together. I'll say a few words of introduction and maybe introduce a theme. I'll introduce this human being right here, and then we will do a 25-minute sit, and then afterwards a little bit of a debrief and hang out. So welcome if it's your first time, and if you've come back, great to see you again. It's amazing how this little project has grown. It started 2.5 years ago because of Lily. Lily told me to do it. Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't think I'll ever be able to stay with it. But now it's just been continuous, and it's actually a really good support for me in my practice, and I love it. And happy birthday, whoever has a birthday. I thought I saw a birthday thing go by. So this is my friend Jude Star. Jude happens to be in Nasara, the town where I'm at right now. He came through to say hi with his little family. So we've been hanging out and talking life. He's a meditation teacher. Talking meditation, talking about how we're getting our asses kicked by life and we're still trying to meditate and what that looks like for us. And I thought, just talking to Jude, I was like, it would be good to kind of share a little bit about that, about just sort of human stories of how, how the practice helps us get through this. And I thought maybe the way to do it would be just to introduce the practice I'm going to guide, and then which is going to be kind of around this theme, and then maybe share a little bit with Jude after around kind of what we do, what we each do to kind of stay in the center of our life when things are going off, what Jude does, what I do, and then I'd be interested in hearing what other people do. But the kind of center theme is, we want to kind of be centered and present and available in our life, and have this capacity to sit when things get challenging and be present and available. But we all kind of got our go-to ways in which we don't do that. For me, it looks a lot like being pulled out of center. When you got like a little kid, it's just, there's so many ways it happens. But one way is when he's in a great mood tonight, but he was in a rough mood the past couple of days, and it's just this low level upsetness, and he's kind of constantly acting out, and you're just constantly on edge the whole time, and I'm trying to kind of hold space in the sense for him, just let my nervous system absorb his situation and be bigger than it. But over time, there's this attrition that happens where you're just feeling less and less resourced. And ultimately for me, I get to this place where I feel just very jangly and fried, and I need to just check out. I need to just go into my spaced out place, like read a book or just like get away. Or I get reactive and frustrated and annoying and annoyed. And so that's kind of my pattern, and I try to, and there's things I do when I'm noticing that happening that I'll come back to kind of like, my basic strategy is I come back to just feeling my own being. Like I just feel my own full being, and I let all the things be here and take a few breaths. And then as soon as I do that, it's like I have this immediate expansion of capacity. And that's what I do in the moment. And what I do in meditation is very much like that too. And the meditation is where I'm also kind of building. The more I do the meditation, the more I find I don't need to kind of work up to getting there when my life is going pear-shaped. And that was just a little bit about what I do. What do you do, Jude? We can say more after.
Yeah, I'll say more just because of the
Oh yeah, because of the audio. Yeah. So
I'm sure that practice will inspire something.
Yeah,
As well.
yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I was going to basically guide a practice around that, like guiding a practice around what it feels like to kind of just come into the sort of center of your life, orient to the, not the figure, what's happening kind of in the front of your life, you could say, the thoughts, the feelings, the situation, all that sort of happening over top of this more kind of fundamental awareness or quality of being. And I'll try to kind of orient us to that in a very simple way. And hopefully it'll be useful. And then afterwards we can have a debrief. All right. Pears get a bad rap. Indeed. All right, do-nothingers. So basically you don't have to do anything. You can just sit here and blow saliva bubbles, look at the ceiling, stare at the window, fall asleep, doodle, or go do your go-to practice. I'll just guide this simple one, and we'll see what happens. All right, so take a few deep breaths if you like starting that way. Stretching up as you breathe in. And on the exhale, that's kind of like the deliberate letting go of whatever you brought with you into the sit. Of course, it'll stick around, but you never know. Kind of beginning to orient that way, beginning to orient towards letting things settle. So for this part, I like to just literally kind of do a bit of a body scan where I'm smoothing out the lines in my forehead and the jaw. And as I breathe out, I soften the shoulders and the belly. I let the belly be soft, open. My hands open on your lap or on your knees or however you're arranged. And then there's this equanimity, this basic orientation and experience towards allowing all things to be here. In all kinds of ways we don't do this, and we don't often realize we're blocking things, that we're braced against sounds we kind of don't want to listen to or we don't want to hear. Or we're holding our body in a particular way because we don't want to feel some discomfort, a physical discomfort, an emotional discomfort. And same with thoughts. We got a lot of thoughts, but we don't want the thoughts to be there, so we're in some kind of invisible struggle. So instead, just give up the struggle. Whatever's here is here. This body, this mind, this world, configured exactly so. And for myself, that very act of doing that and making that kind of commitment, right away it sort of orients me to a bigger sense of being, you could say. I feel my body, I feel the space I'm in, my peripheral vision fills out a bit. So if this is where you like to stay, this is not a bad place, just sitting and being, and attention gets pulled where it gets pulled, and practice is just to sit, just to be. Letting all things rise and fall. And the other option is to have that as still the basic stance, but kind of in the foreground, get curious about some simple home base, something unglamorous in your experience that you can put your attention on, the sensation of the breath or some sound, maybe like a vent or a heater, fridge. Or you can put your attention at a point in the body, like the heart or the belly. And you just use that as a way to help get settled. So I'll come back in a bit. And as we're settling, as we're kind of backing up into just this simple sense of being here, there's also a sense of continually welcoming everything. Anytime you notice something that you're a little bit resisting against, you just do the opposite. Kind of good-naturedly welcoming, layer after layer. One of the things that always works for me when I sit is letting my body start to get really still, and then starting to notice that feeling of stillness. And it's like I'm slowing my body clock down to this kind of 0 point. So you can do that by just sort of getting still yourself, if that makes sense, or letting your attention very delicately move into the subtlest part or quietest part of a sound or subtlest part of a sensation. It's like the sediment is settling and we get this cleaner and cleaner signal to noise ratio. Kind of get into our meditation, there can be a sense in which we drift off into some subtle line of thinking, or we kind of check out a little bit, or we're here but we're kind of fighting something, not wanting to feel something, or who knows what. The idea is to let go of any ever subtler fixations, ways in which we're holding on to stuff, holding on to thoughts and feelings, and also ever subtler pushing away, ways in which we're braced against or trying to block experience. And the idea is that everything, all thoughts, feelings, sensations, are just part of a single free flow of the ongoing moment, changing in different tempos. And we're just sitting still, quiet in the middle of all of it, just aware, breathing, being. And most of this is just being this big old container for experience, wide open. All the sounds and sensations kind of passing through space, this embodied space of presence. Okay, last few minutes, just, I like to finish with a simple loving kindness practice of some kind, a gratitude practice. Just, the simplest one is just letting random thoughts of appreciation pop into your head, different people you appreciate, places. Doesn't matter. And just sort of saying thank you to all of them. You're breathing in your thanks, breathing out your care. How different people in your life, animals, kids, people present, people past, mentors, anyone who's comes to mind. And as I breathe out, you can imagine breathing out the benefits of the practice, like spreading it out, sending it out, whoever needs it. Freaking bell broke, man. Nice to meditate with you.
Yeah, you too, man.
I'm going to take out this lapel mic, so So hopefully people can still hear. This is the mic on the iPad. Thank you for your practice, everyone. Thanks, James. Appreciate you, Gary. Thanks for saying so. Sending love to Jeff McPee. What's going on there? Tomorrow. Roll out, Cal. Oh, buddy. I already hear that, Joe. Sending you that. So, I had this thought of sharing a little bit about after the meditation in particular, how, because it's great after sit. I don't know about you, but I always feel more centered and sane. If you came in late, this is my friend Jude. He's a meditation teacher. He actually writes meditations for an app called Open.
It's a good app.
It's a good app.
Yeah. It's funny, we have the same job. We both write daily meditations, but for different apps.
Yeah, it's hilarious. There's a lot of people do that. Actually, I know like 4 people. We have another buddy, Toby, does that. And then there's Tamara, of course. And there's all the ones that 10% happier too. So anyway, you do a meditation. For me, I do 25 minutes sit. Different things happen, but in general, I feel pretty grounded and present and available after the sit and more sane. But in the middle of life, it's like, so I meditate so that when life's going off, I can have more of that. But there's also things I then do in life when it's going off. And that's what I thought we could have a little bit of a share about that real quickly. Oh, cool, Charlotte. That's nice to hear. Thanks, Ruth. So I thought, I was curious for you, just talking to another meditation teacher, like what you do, and then people hear like what you do, like what techniques you draw on when you're in the middle of it, and what that looks like for you. Everyone has a different way in which they get dysregulated. I often think of it in terms of the fight, flight, freeze, and then like some weird mix of all 3 of them, where like the fight is just like when you get angry or frustrated or impatient, or the fright is the kind of anxiousness or the appeasingness or the runningness, and then the freeze is sort of this just check outness, like you kind of go dissociate, or like it's like you can actually see people in freeze response when you start doing the trauma work around it. Like people kind of get this, you see a lot of meditators in the freeze response kind of get this sort of zoned outness quality. And so I kind of try to track for myself, where I'm at on that. And I notice, okay, I'm starting to go into this or that response, and if I can kind of notice it and come back to center, I can kind of hold space for more and more intensities, but I often don't notice it until after. But I wonder, like, what you do around that.
The first thing is to really just notice what's happening, to notice, like, oh, I'm agitated. Something's going on, to, like, kind of step out. And then to look at, like, my patterns. And I think one of the things that keeps me stuck in the pattern is these thoughts that are trying to justify how I'm feeling, like these things like I'm right, that I'm right, like I can't believe this other person is not acknowledging that I'm right, or that I at least have something valid that they're not acknowledging. And so I acknowledge that, and then I try to really look at what's happening, but from realize that it's not as personal as I think it is, right?
Yeah, totally.
That it's like that I'm taking it so personally, and then looking at what's actually happening, and is it really a personal attack? Is it really? Because I feel like attacked, right? Often, when these things happen, that I feel like like I'm not being treated fairly, and then I look at, well, is it this personal like vendetta against me, what that feels like, or is it that the other person is going through their own pain, and that they are just processing that in this way that is then kind of their own fight lashing out. So it's really getting outside of like the personal perspective
Yeah, but what about the intensity of sensation when it's going through? Like for me, I don't take it. You know, when life's hard, I never take it. I probably do take it personally, but it's more for me like I'm inside this raging nervous system that's just going freaking crazy. Like when Eden is freaking out, like I'm basically yoked to his nervous system. It's like I'm being electrocuted, and so I just gotta like be like I have to basically expand out like and just be like this. And so what's the move there? You know, like how do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because for me, like the activations I get are usually around like sadness or feeling like uncared for. You know, like that kind of thing. Whereas with you, and so I think like there's these different approaches that work better, or for us. But I mean, in a very like base way, like a lot of my practice is somatic. Like the base of my practice is somatic. It's about looking at what I'm feeling, forgetting the story, just being with the feeling, being with the sensations, and just saying that's okay. It's just that's okay. It's okay to be feeling that.
That's a huge one. I mean, that's you hear it again and again in meditation, but it can't be said enough. Like because you don't notice all the ways in which you're actually not allowing something to be okay. Like when I'm in a place of like challenges, like particularly if your challenge is anger, say. So like I'll be fried from just feeling exhausted, like just haven't slept and dealing with kind of things with home life stuff, and I don't ever take it out on my family. I'm lucky that way, but I'll take it out on technology. And I'll be trying to work, and I'm just like something won't go right with the browser or the freaking program or the computer, and I'm just like, I feel this like childish upwelling, and it comes right through really hard, and I think at the time I'm like ashamed that I'm having this response, but if I can notice it and go, actually this is my version of suffering right now, that's what's here, and can I actually welcome the feeling of impatience, the feeling of childish outrage at my stupid technology that doesn't work. If I can actually let all those things in and just be here and like just not have a problem with the fact that I'm acting this way, then they just go away, or they clear out faster.
And I think a big thing for me is that when you're in the depths of that emotional experience, it feels so like it's not going to go away. Like you have to do something for it to go away, and to just acknowledge like, okay, I'm in this now, but if I can just be patient and just like wait, and then it subsides. Surprisingly, sometimes I think like, oh, this isn't going to go away unless like something drastic has to happen, or like we have to resolve or fix this issue for this feeling to go away. But when you just give it some time, give it some space, breathe, and not avoid it, but not feed into the urgency of it, and then you can just like ride it out, and then and see that because the emotions have this urgent feeling, like something needs to be done right now.
Oh, totally.
And so it's just like
hair on fire. It's like there's some urgency because your body's hitting all the alarm bells. Yeah, I mean, I think you're saying a point that's really important and worth stating again too, which is just the value of perspective, like literally life experience. Like I've been here before, I've felt this before, I know what this is like, and the more times that you say it's like the more you've lived, the more you've been to this place, the more you know it will pass. And so perspective literally is the thing that's getting built with practice, the sense of having more and more space, or more and more kind of spatial temporal understanding of your life,
and to look at, sometimes there is some belief that you're not fully conscious of that's like not true around the feeling, or around, like the feeling comes up and you're like, this person doesn't care about me, or this person, like whatever is happening, and to just acknowledge that, and acknowledge that that's just some transient kind of thought feeling that is not necessarily true.
Yeah, it's fun talking with this, buddy. So I see I'm going to share some of the things people are writing here. Yeah, Susan Edwards saying, I walk around forgiving myself for how I'm feeling. Freaking brilliant. Simple way to put it. Exactly. Rebecca saying, what about when it's real, like a serious health concern and these feelings kick in? Yeah, exactly.
Well, I can relate to that one, right? Because, so like what I've been dealing with is my partner, my girlfriend, has an extremely serious health concern, like a life-threatening one, and so it's the fear and everything is real, right? And it's just like it's like you look at the whole, it's like, what can you do? It's like, can you fight it? No, you can't. Are you going to be like terrified and angry and all those things? Yes. And that's all okay, right? So it's not like, it's like we notice all these things come up because we have this idea of what the future is going to look like, and then that's being taken from us. It's like, oh, we had plans on this and that. We had plans on having a child, all this stuff, and then suddenly that's gone, and that's heartbreaking. And you have to just go through the heartbreak. It's just like, it's just that acceptance, right? It's like it's going, like, there's gonna be anger, there's gonna be pain, and that's just it. It's like sure, it's like it's just not getting stuck in the resistance of it, because there's gonna be resistance too, and that's okay too. But it's just like, how much can you just come more and more into the acceptance,
and into the moment.
Yeah, and it's just a process, and that's it. It's like, you only have this moment, and it's like, how are you gonna relate to what's happening in this moment, and to this day? And it's like, yeah,
those situations basically ratchet up the importance of that recognition that there was really just this moment.
Right.
Like, now that was the thing that you said to yourself. But then it becomes the thing that you need to live, because you're inside a situation where this person isn't going to be in your, whatever it is, in your life much longer, or whether it's a parent or whoever it is, or a partner.
Yeah, or if it's your own, your own life or whatever it is, that's like, where there is this level of uncertainty. It's like, it's a lot to process when you have a fixed idea of like, this is the life path I'm on, this is what my future is going to look like. All of that is a deep attachment, and that doesn't come undone in a minute. It's a long process of that kind of unwinding and unraveling. There's going to be a lot of grief, a lot of emotions, and you just have to go through it, because you don't have a choice. The other option is to live in denial or live in anger,
Exactly.
So it's like this is life, right?
Yeah.
Life is always tragic. Like, there's always tragedy. We all die.
That's why the love is so important.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's friends to give you the love.
Yeah, it brings all of the beautiful things into, like, I almost didn't come up here to visit you because I was like, oh, it's going to be expensive and it's going to be stressful and yada yada yada. And I was like, well, it's like, it really put like the health crisis, put everything into perspective, which is like, no, it's like, the most important things is to spend time with people we love and people we care for and have connections with. And so
that's funny.
This guy's been the best to me. I wouldn't be in my life where I am if it wasn't for Jeff's support. Not just like your support in the sense of, and this is like a bigger, not just the support in like, oh, I'll like, help you out, connect you with the right people, but just your belief in me, and like, it let me believe in more myself, and it's just like, we can offer that to our friends too, it's like, and I offer that when I can to other people as well, because of how important that is. And it's like, you see, that's what a parent can offer their child.
Totally.
Totally. It was like,
totally.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Good to hang out with you. Well, friends, I'm sorry I know there's some comments here and I haven't been responding. Let's look and see. Well, I think I missed a whole bunch there, but yeah, Rebecca says, speaking to my situation and heart. Mitch, loneliness seems often the most devastating, oddly, not just being alone, but rather that it removes the opportunity to share joy and love and insights and gratitude. Totally. I can relate to that. Yeah, Janice saying, Jude, there's many ways to make a bad situation worse. Being aware helps you do less.
Yeah, and we're gonna fuck it up. I can start a YouTube channel. Yeah,
we're starting my YouTube channel.
We're gonna fuck it up, and that's okay. That's part of it, And like, oh my God, I can, even just in the last few months, I can't even count the ways I fucked up, and made things worse. But the recognition of that and learning from that is like the most important thing. It's like, are you gonna give up now because you fucked it up, or are you gonna come back and try to learn from it?
Yeah, that's why I think it's so important. It's like, I just think, this practice, all this, it's about kind of having a direction. It's like a direction of how you kind of want to show up in your life. But the reality is always where you are. And where you are is just a human being fucking up, getting things right, then fucking up again, but then recommitting to your thing. And it's like, that's how it goes. And you don't get to the end of that. And if you think you're going to get to the end of it, then that's just another big delusion that you got to work through.
Yeah. It's a willingness to meet life and not run away from life.
Yeah.
That's like the fundamental that, and the thing is we run away from life all the time, but at least it's like you have an intention for some time or some part of the day to turn towards life and turn towards the difficulties, you know, and not run away from them.
All right, man. You did miss the meditation. Root. You'll hear. We're stopping this right now, and Jude, Lily, and I think Andrew are connecting to Jude's YouTube channel. Jude has a great piece on ADHD, actually. Yeah. Something I've been meaning to do, like, and I probably will do here at some point. He just put a whole resource package kind of together about how to, because he's got ADHD or he's a visitor, and how he works with that in meditation. And we've had a lot of talks about that.
Mm-hmm. That was like one of the things that we connected over. We were both meditators who were obsessed with like the whole gambit of spirituality, who were ADHD.
Basically,
you know? And that was like what we really,
Yeah. You can meditate if you have ADHD. It might look slightly different though.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, friends, good to hang out. I can hear my little guy crying, so I'm gonna jump off and be part of the solution over there. Really appreciate this community. Appreciate you, my man. Love you, bud.
Me too, buddy. Oh, I'm getting emotional.
Jude's getting emotional. I'll turn off before that happens. Bye, everybody. Thank you.